Okay, welcome to Girl, Come Sit With Me, the live recording. I have a special guest in the building. Her name is Sabine, and y'all, one of the cool things about my guests tonight is that all three of the guests that I've had tonight were literally selected by the listeners of Girl Come Sit With Me. Yes. Yes. Okay. So I put it out there and was like, hey, who would you all like to see this season? First season was all about me, all about self-discovery, and y'all on this journey with me. But this season, it's about the collective. Okay. Can everybody say on collective?
On collective.
There we go. Yes. So today we have Sabine. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. I love the concept of your show. Girl, come sit with us. It just feels like it's going to be a conversation with the bestie. So I'm happy to be here.
Yes. And y'all, she has a podcast as well called Pathways of
Pathways to Power.
Pathways to Power, okay? Because that is what we're going to be focusing on. We want to embrace our power because that's what's going to help us show up for ourselves if we're being honest, right? So let's talk about it, okay? And let's also add confidence, and because you exude a lot of confidence and a lot of authenticity. And I feel like that has to be something that you've either learned through your journey or is this naturally in you?
I think that confidence is something that, you can see people that you admire out in the world and think like, oh, they just were born that way. Or,
Yes.
it just comes to them so easy. But I feel like it can be easy when you're true to yourself. When you lean into who you really are, when you identify the strengths, that you have, the things that come naturally to you, and you allow those things to show up and just radiate from you, So like for me, I've always loved to talk and,
Okay,
and
yes.
to do storytelling and share, I guess, my perspective. And so even if I may feel nervous or something like that, I learned that in just embracing that and just doing it and just going for what feels natural, it that muscle starts to build. That confidence muscle begins to build. So
I love that, doing what feels natural. So sometimes when things feel natural, we don't even realize that we're doing it.
right. Yes.
How do we peep? What are those things that feel natural to us if we're on autopilot?
Right. So I think it's just how you feel in the moment. And then also to echo something that someone else had said earlier, that sometimes it's what you constantly hear. Right. So from the people that are around you, they'll tell you, you when you speak, it makes me feel comfortable. It makes me feel at home, and so even if it may take a while for you to see yourself in that way, because a lot of times people will see things in you before you even see it in yourself.
That part.
Just lean into it. Just lean into it and know that if they're saying that, it's for a reason. And maybe it's something in you that you need to hone in and probably develop more. But there's something to that. If they're saying it, there's some truth there. So, yeah.
And y'all, I forgot to tell you all. You heard how impactful that was? Y'all, she is a whole advocate, okay? She is a mental health advocate. She works with an array. Well, I'll let you tell it. My bad. I'll let you.
So I'll tell the journey of, I guess, how I got into mental health advocacy, right?
Yes.
So believe it or not, I spent about 10 years in law enforcement. So I was actually out and about in full uniform, in the car and all of that.
Wow.
There was times when I was stopped and people would ask, "Are you an actor? Are you really an officer?" But yes, I was out there and doing
Wow.
the job. But I think in that experience, I met so many people who needed to heal. I mean, what you'll learn, or what I found in that experience, is that not everyone that calls for our services, that call for police, are calling because of a crime or a disturbance or everything, sometimes they're really just looking for someone to listen to them. And so you quickly find that you're doing more than just law enforcement, but you're also being a therapist, a listening ear.
Yes.
You're being a friend, for people that may live alone. They may call just because they're lonely. And so what I found is that in doing that, in my time in law enforcement, and especially when I trained as in crisis intervention, I started to realize, okay, I think I have a heart for this. And I'll never
See?
forget when I completed the police academy. And so we had to do crisis intervention training. We did that for about a week or so. And the woman who was in charge of the crisis intervention training, she had us all go around the room and share, something about ourselves, really to introduce ourselves. And so as I began to speak, she said, "Wow, there's just something so soft about you." And let me tell you, I just finished the academy, so I was actually really mad.
Oh.
Because I was like, soft? Who's soft?
Okay, I just did all this.
But that comes natural to me, right? And soft, we may look at it as a weakness, but it's really, if we reframe that, it's having sensitivity, having, maybe even like emotional intelligence, that you can pick up on things. And I figured out that if I'm going to do this thing of law enforcement, because I kind of just fell into it in a way, I figured if I'm going to do it, I'm going to take my own approach, and I'm going to be authentic to who I am, soft and all.
Yes.
And I'll just be something different, in the community. And so in doing that, I started to mentor young girls through Girl Power of Miami, if anyone's familiar with them. And I continued my training with crisis intervention, and really just started to learn more and more about mental health and how it can affect us in our daily lives. And so even now, leaving from it's been over 10 years since I've left law enforcement and transitioned.
Wow, that's a decade.
Yes.
That's a long time.
Yes.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, so I'm telling on myself because 10 years in the force and 10 years out. But
That's nice.
yes,
Beautiful.
but you know what? I felt so compelled to like stay within that realm of mental health that after leaving, I decided, you know what? I'm going to find a way to be that same mental health advocate in the community. And so I learned about Crisis Text Line.
Oh, yes.
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 I learned about Crisis Text Line, went through the training as a crisis counselor. And for those of you who may not know, it is a free mental health platform where you can simply text in. If you're having a bad day or you're going through your own crisis, you can be routed to a trained crisis counselor. And so to help you de-escalate, maybe you don't have anyone to speak to. And so it's a good resource to have, and it's completely free, 365 days of the year, 24 hours. So a great resource for anyone listening, 741-741. You will text the word home or share, and you'll get plugged into. I didn't mean to
No, that was
promo
amazing.
for them.
Can you share that number again, please?
Yes. So you would text home or share to 741-741. And it's actually available. I really stand by that service because I feel like, and everyone is on their phones these days, right? And so,
all the time.
Yeah, and even think about our kids, teenagers, they're always texting. And so to be able to tap in with someone who is trained to hear them out and help them decompress, and it's free, is just amazing. And it's available here in the U.S., in Canada, and both in English and Spanish.
See,
So
and
it's
think
amazing.
about it now. When it comes to texting, I don't know if any of you all have noticed, maybe some of my listeners have noticed, sometimes people are more willing to say things via text that they would never say to your face. Or sometimes people are more, so I can see where people are more willing to just share. Sometimes when you don't have to say it out loud, it hits different. It's almost as if you have to acknowledge something or acknowledge your feelings when you say it out loud. versus if I'm writing it down, it's like, okay, I'm releasing it, but I'm also not feeling some type of way or feeling like I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs or anything like that.
I would say too that in not seeing the person face to face, I think that can be helpful. You know, for someone who maybe therapy feels daunting for them, and so that might be like a first step into getting support, getting mental health support, and probably that barrier as well of not having to see someone face to face helps them feel like they're not being judged. So,
Yes.
yes.
I love that. And earlier you mentioned something about, I loved when you mentioned about being soft because one of the mirrors, so for all my listeners out there, during this live recording, I do have an art installation that I created. And I basically took a whole bunch of mirrors and I just put things that I knew that I needed to hear some days. So one of them says, "Girl, you deserve softness." And at the bottom, I put ... and joy. Because sometimes we need permission to be soft.
Yes, I love, you know what? I love that you said that because I think in the last few years, especially since the pandemic, there's been this whole soft era moment going on
Yes,
in our,
I'm here for it.
yes, and it's just, and I think that was part of the reason why so many years ago, when I heard the trainer say soft, I took offense to it because back then, and
You didn't want
especially
that.
within that field, soft was frowned upon, but now we're starting to see the value in being soft and letting,
Yes.
for the women, allowing ourselves to bask in our femininity. So I think it's a great thing. And I'm glad that I was able to get to a point where I could reframe that and
Yes, I
see the
love that.
power even in being soft.
I love that because there's a power. In order to be soft, we have to embrace the power of understanding that it's okay to be vulnerable.
Yes.
Understanding that it's okay for me to feel however I feel. It's okay for me to sit in it, not stay in it. I ain't say, girl, come stay in it with me. Okay? It's okay to sit in it just for a little while.
Right.
And it's in those moments where we continue to gather our power. Because for whatever reason, the freer I feel in this stage in life and the more powerful I feel, the softer I am, the more gentle I am. I don't have to constantly exude because you just get tired of it.
And there's also strength in, being silent and being, there's strength in that when you don't have to always defend yourself or,
Yes.
or have a response for everything. So I love that. So you mentioned something about you don't have to sit in it, or you don't have to
stay in it.
Stay in it, right? So there's a lot going on in our country right now, right? The inauguration, if we want to call it that, just happened the other day, and it just took me back to a video that I shared online just shortly after the election. And in that video, I was saying, a lot of people are feeling all kind of emotions right now, right? When the results came out. And I said, there may be some people who are sad, some people who are happy because, let's be real, he won. And so there's plenty of people who voted for him, whether we know it or not, or whether we know them or not. And so I said, but let's think about the fact that, this person is the president. And, it's a position, but not everyone who's in position has personal power. And so let's be reminded that a lot of the issues that we want to see change, or the change that we want to see, is happening closer to home than on a national, a federal level. And so when you are upset, or if you're upset, instead of staying in that, feel your feelings, but then also remind yourself that, okay, I have the power to affect change in it doesn't matter how big or small. And so that may mean running for office. That may mean starting an initiative. That may mean creating something within your community. Again, no matter how big or small. And so
that's real.
Yeah.
I literally, so candid moment. I was getting my taxes done today. So I was literally right up the street at St. Clair Financial Services.
Okay.
Yo. So I was literally getting my taxes done today. And when I tell you that's what we were talking about how the smallest of things can evoke so much change. And that can be talk about community wise, whether it's going to those meetings, even if it's HOA meetings or those town hall meetings, right? But guess what? Tonight is about showing up for ourselves. So let's bring that inward and think about it. What are those small changes that we can make within ourselves? Those small changes in our habits, or maybe some habits that we can replace, even if it's just a small one. Like, okay, I notice I rush in the morning, that causes me anxiety, and I'm just in a disarray. Even if that means something as small as, you know what, I'm gonna just wake up 15 minutes earlier.
Right.
Just to give myself a little bit of a grace period. That small change, just how you mentioned the small changes, that small change can impact so much of our day. And if we start having more days like that where it's getting a little better, guess what? Before you know it, a month passed and you're like, hey, I'm up. It's up. So I really, girl, we was just talking about that. I love that. Yes.
Yeah. So I want to mention that a part of that small change that I decided to make last year was in starting a social initiative called Lights, Camera, Action for Change.
Okay.
And so, in speaking of, getting your confidence, right, and finding your pathway to power, that was my way of getting my pathway to power. Because I had an experience, where I once was a entertainment hopeful, and I wanted to pursue modeling and acting, and I had an experience that wasn't so pleasant. And so, in hearing the stories that had been coming out within the last few years, I said, okay, well, many people may be thinking, well, this is just happening on with celebrities, right? And I wanted to sort of bridge the gap that, well, if this is happening to people that are the most visible, what is happening to those who are right, within our midst, within our communities? And even just thinking about my own experience, not only personally, but also some of the things I've seen in law enforcement, my time in law enforcement, I said, okay, let's create this initiative. And I started a virtual event. That's how it was launched, a virtual event. I recorded it right here in CoSpace.
Come on, CoSpace. Yo.
and we had some of the talented folks who are right here in this room now, who were a part of that event. Salam, the poet, and
shout out Salam, the poet. You can find him at book.salam the poet.
Yes.
Got it right.
And Paul Morris was also a part of that event.
A really dope photographer, y'all. Paul Morris.
And singer. And yes, and so we had a number of, just experts within the field who came and they shared their experiences. I spoke on my experience. We had an entertainment attorney, a labor attorney.
That is amazing.
Yes, and so we decided, you know what, let's make this an ongoing initiative. And so we'll be launching the first in-person event this year in April.
Ooh,
and so I'm excited about that. But, and speaking of, sometimes we go through things, trauma, different things in our lives where we feel like, we know it took a piece of us, right? And it dims our light and it makes us feel smaller. And in doing things like an initiative and doing things like this, you find a way to sort of reclaim your power and
I love that.
And get your confidence back. So
taking back that power.
Yes.
That's what it's about. Because sometimes it's just like what you said, it's those little experiences or maybe the major experiences where you start to wonder, how do I get back to who I once was?
Right.
And for me, something that I had to learn after certain traumas, I had to learn it's not about getting to the old me because she gone.
Right.
She's gone. But what I can do is relearn, continue to learn who I am now. Who I am now. Learn how to love who I am now. Understand what I like now. What brings me joy now.
Yes. And you had mentioned that yeah, you don't want to go back to the old you because the old you is what got you there. And it's not a negative thing, but in going through that experience, now you have wisdom. Now
Yes.
you have, something that you can reflect on so that when something else happens, you can see, okay, well, I remember this from last time and I don't have to let it go that far because I
Yes.
recognize, okay, this is how it started. Let me stop it before it even begins.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then you mentioned being in law enforcement for a decade.
Hmm.
How are you so confident after being in such a male dominated field?
So
How does that work?
I think as I think the fake it till you make it.
Okay. Okay.
I think the fake it till you make it. While
It's a
it's
real
not
thing.
it's not always I guess encouraged by some. I think there is some valid points to it. When you know that you want to be this confident person, start envisioning yourself as that person, as that woman, who is confident. View yourself in that lens, and it will come with time. It will come. But I remember during my time in law enforcement, one thing that truly helped me is being true to myself. And so I am a girly girl. And I would be in full uniform with my hair done, with red lipstick,
Hey.
okay, which made me feel powerful. And I remember, coworkers, men and women, telling me, well, where are you going? Like, this is not a fashion show. And, I got a lot of, heat
Wow.
for it. But not long after, many of those same people, the women anyway, would start
See?
coming to work in full makeup or, more than what they were used to wearing. And so,
You were an inspiration.
right.
Yes, you
Yeah.
set the standard. Very good. Yes.
Yes, and so I think for the women here, if you are in a male dominated field like I was, don't feel like you have to adapt so much that you lose who you are as a woman and just as a person. Bring whatever it is that makes you unique to that space. I remember figuring out again, like I'm gonna be that officer that can have that connection with the community through
Yes.
mentoring through I would stop folks and tell them, hey, you see that's on your like it was for me it was all about educating people. So while I did still have a job to do, I wanted to make sure that I would be that point of contact where people could say, well, they aren't all the same,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah.
I love that. That's
Hmm.
being able to find a way to stay true to who you are, especially when you're placed in certain situations or certain in your field, in your example, in your career that way. You actually gave me a flashback to a while ago. I won't age myself, but I do remember being in high school and about the senior year, I was a band geek. So by the senior year, I was head drum major and I was over, our band had like 150 of us and I was the only girl. And I was the one that was in charge of even the other guy drum majors and everyone. And they just wanted me to be, hey, you can't smile. Y'all, I smile all day. Okay? I smile when I'm crying. Well, my bad. When my eyes pee, I don't cry too often. But I smile all day. So imagine me, I'm at the podium like this. Mean mug and trying to mean mug, y'all. I was
And it's
laughing.
not you.
It's
It's not
not
you.
me. By
Yeah.
the end of that year, I was like, listen, y'all going, hey, blow the whistle, deep, deep, cheese, deep, deep, cheese.
You know what? You remind me of when I was freshly new into law enforcement. I earned the title of, I mean, I had a lot of nicknames, but one of them was Tinkerbell. And I would just come out the car, look at you, Tinkerbell. And they would say, how long have you been on the force? Because you just don't sound jaded. Or like I would hear a lot of those comments. And it just reminded me again, going back to the softness. And so,
Yes.
just be you. Just be you. And you know, everyone, you can only be you. right? And everyone else is taken. So allow the true you, the true Dom, allow that to come through in all your interactions, all your encounters. So
See, thank you. I received that. And I do have a question. So, how in the world, you said be you, right? Now, as we be ourselves, how in the world do we find a way to, how do we find a way to hone in on who we are?
so
Like
I
just
guess
owning it. How do you get to a place of where you're confident enough to just own it? And granted, I hear women say all the time, maybe some of you all have heard, maybe your aunts or a mom or someone say, like, man, I live my best life in my 40s and 50s. Or these are the women we see, these powerful, beautiful black aunties that we know and love, and they have that boundary thing on lock. No, I'm not doing that. Sugar, why you doing that, baby? Why? That's not necessary. How do we get to that point at an earlier age? Or is it on, or do you think it's only with experience?
I think you could definitely learn from other people's experiences, but we're all different. Like me,
Yeah.
I've had to experience things to
Okay.
learn,
Okay.
but I think that if you seek, if you have friends who've been through, or someone that's older, who can mentor you, you can definitely learn from them and realize at a sooner stage in life that you're happiest when you allow yourself to just be you, and to be boundaried, to say no when you mean no, or to say yes when you mean yes, and to say
Yes.
no when you really want to say no. So one of my latest episodes on my podcast, it was
Shout out
called
to
"To Pathways to Power."
Pathways to Power.
So
Yes.
it was we were talking about the power of slowing down. And this particular guest, she is a JOMO advocate. JOMO meaning the joy of missing out. And it
Oh,
it
that's real.
and so it was a lot about boundaries, right? Because she said, many times we're wanting to go here and there, and a lot of it is because of people pleasing. And we feel like, well, we have to show up for people. And if we say no, they're going to be upset or they're going to be mad. And in the conversation, we came to the realization that, well, if you said yes and you really wanted to just lay down and now you go, what is the point? Because now you can't fully show up anyway. So now you're there, you're not being fully present. And so you're probably letting the person down even more, showing up and not being able to
And
give
not being
all of
fully
you.
you.
Right. And so I think I've come to the place now where I can say, I want to put myself first and say no when I know it's not truly in me to show up. And it's freeing doing that. It's freeing doing that. And you mentioned you had asked something about just being confident in who you are. And in a very practical way, I would say take a personality test. To find your strengths, take a personality test. So I did like a DISC assessment, and in those sort of assessments, you can find out, okay, where do my strengths lie? Because even if people tell you, you may not believe it, but then if you take the assessment, it's letting you know right then and there that, okay, well, this is your strength here, and here are the areas that you can improve upon. And you celebrate, your strengths. You develop them to make them even better, and at the same time, dedicate time to improving, those
Yes.
areas. So I'll.
That part.
Yeah.
Yes. And if you all look up, I have my students do this all the time. So you can literally look up free personality tests. And you want it to be able to tell you, hey, it's not going to say you are an extrovert or you are an introvert. What it's going to do is everything's going to be on a scale because everything is on a continuum, okay? So it's just going to tell you where you lie. Are you closer to this? Are you this percentage of this? It's just going to tell you where you lie. And one of the cool things about it, I'm so glad you mentioned this. One of the cool things about it is once you figure out your personality, you're going to see that some of those traits on there is rather accurate. Okay, thank you. It's going to tell you it's rather accurate with telling you not just the traits, but also in your career. So it lets you know in a lot of those what type of careers work for you. Are you the analytical type of person, or are you the dreamer? It's going to give you those, and some of you may look at it and say, wow, that's why I don't like this doggone job. Or, ooh, this is why I'm good with this, or this is why I'm always in a relationship. It's very good.
And I think it's also helpful in how to interact with others, right? And other personalities, even difficult personalities.
And understand what drains you.
Right. And so, like, going back to confidence now, a major part of that in building your confidence, which is something I'm still actively doing, is surrounding yourself around people, that lift you up. People that speak life into you. That can totally help your confidence and help you to believe in those same strengths and things that people are constantly telling you that may be hard to believe because you're probably around folks that are not building you up. And so you hear the counter more than, you hear the negative more than the positive. And so the more you surround yourself around that positivity, it's going to be easier to believe in those strengths and the things that are the best of you.
It really is, because what I started doing is sometimes we always see like, oh, find that celebrity that you look up to and take some of their traits. But I'm going to challenge everyone in this room to find the people around you. Look at the people around you and allow yourself to discover the traits that you admire about them, or the traits that your social circle has, maybe it's your family, whatever, that they have that you want, and work to emulate that. If that's someone that you know, you love, you trust, you admire, and they're close to you, it makes it even easier, because sometimes we start to pick up traits when we're around people. Think about it. Even if you have, I don't know why Sneaky Link has just been in my mind today, but even if you have a sneaky link and you don't want anyone to know that that's just your kissing sneaky link, right? Guess what? You may end up picking up some of their vernacular, some of their words, some of their verbiage without even realizing it. And a people watcher or mental health advocates, right? We may end up picking up like, oh, such and such says that all the time. You never, oh, okay. We gonna start putting 2 and 2 together. But it's the same thing. Do that same thing with those that you know and love, that support you, that are there for you, that pushes you to be greater. Take some of their traits. Don't drain them, y'all. But get some of those. I love that.
Yeah. So, and I would also say, the things that you admire, let them know as well. Yes. Let them know. I think the more you can uplift people, they're going to look to do the same to you. And so it's just, be the energy that you want to receive.
Yes.
And I think that can also
Can you say that again? I'm sorry.
So be the energy that you want to receive.
Yes, thank you.
That could definitely help with your confidence, because if you're coming in with good, positive energy, people are going to mirror that to you. And that's just going to make you feel more confident in the spaces that you're in. And then you'll also know when to exit stage left, right?
Yes.
When the space is not for you. So, yeah, I think that is definitely key.
Yes,
right,
thank
to building
you
your
for
confidence.
That. Yes, and that's also why I smile a lot, even on my down days, even when I'm feeling down, because I kind of want people to mirror my smile in a sense, because sometimes I need to see it, but I can't be in the mirror all day without people thinking I'm conceited, okay? So I love to just exude that, because if I can make someone else's day better, at least in my mind, it's like I still have the power to make myself better. Even if I can't do it in this moment, it still reminds me that I still have the power to do it. So if I could do it for someone else, I could do it for myself. I can show up for myself if I can show up for someone else. So thank you so much, Sabine. Like, I really appreciate you coming. This was a very beautiful episode. Thank you. This is amazing. So thank you so much for tuning in to Girl, Come Sit With Me, the live edition with Sabine. Have a beautiful day. Yay! We did it! Yay!
Amazing.
Thank you. Yes. Yes. See, thank y'all. I was literally just about to ask y'all, see if anyone had any questions. This is a quick little Q&A moment. Or even if you have any suggestions. Even if you have any suggestions or things like that. Yes.
What made you get out your comfort zone to not only use your voice as a beacon for other people to understand what's going on with you, but what made you step out your comfort zone? You said last year was your embracing yourself, rediscovering.
It was.
So now how did that even become? How did this even become?
So, fun fact, I used to work at a funeral home. Yes, my family owns a funeral home in North Miami, Right and Young Funeral Home. And I grew up around that. And when you grow up surrounded by death, and not in a negative way, but it's just you grow up surrounded by it as if it's a way of life. So you get used to being around people at the darkest times. And I just learned at an early age that I enjoy being that person that can either help someone during their darkest times or even just bring a smile. Even if they don't remember me, but I make them laugh in the midst of their tears, for whatever reason, that brought me joy. And that brought me out of my dark moments. So soon as it was suggested to me by my sister to start a podcast, I was like, I don't know. I know I have a voice. I know my students, my college students, they love to tell me, you're a different professor. You're not like the regular ones. You actually checked on me. You did a mental health check on me. I'm like, yeah, we do that. I need you to be okay. I don't want you to just get an A in my class. No. I need you to excel and thrive after you take this. So that was pretty much how it started. Was literally being at a funeral home playing around as a little girl. Yeah. That sounds very morbid when you say it out loud. But I promise you, when you get used to it, the stillness is a little calming. But whatever. Next question before it gets weird.
We're already there.
Oh, barnacles! Scurries away as I show you all my pillow. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
When's the next episode?
Oh, yes. Very good. Yes. So, Girl, Come Sit With Me releases episodes every Tuesday. I release an episode every Tuesday at 5 a.m. And you can find it on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. You can even find it on Amazon Music, literally wherever you can think of for podcasts, you can find it there. And I also release on YouTube as well. And if there's a guest, there's usually video accompanied with it. But for the most part, it's mostly my voice. But yes, you can definitely find it there. You can also find me on social media. TikTok, if it's not dead yet, Instagram, all these things, at Girl Come Sit With Me. Yes. Yay, thank y'all so much for coming. Please, if you have any videos, make sure you tag at Girl Come Sit With Me, add me as a collaborator on it, or simply tag CoSpace, tag our sponsor, CoSpace. And you all make sure you come back when it's not an event, because the energy in here, just how we feel this good, is not only because of this podcast and because of me, it's also because Joy has done a phenomenal job with turning this into a safe space for us to curate and share our dreams and break it down into steps to turn our dreams into reality. See, I did that. Yes, full circle moment. So yes, come through. Another one of our sponsors, my title sponsor, Eat Well Exchange, y'all. Please follow them at Eat Well Exchange. Ashley is right there. Y'all, she is a Black lady dietitian.
Hello.
I think there's only like 3%.
Yep, 2.7.
2.7%. Okay? And she is a part of that number. So we're very grateful for her. And we have Chef Chris from Overtown Farm and Market. There she goes. Y'all listen.
Oh, she did talk to her.
See?
Where's your establishment? It was
Thank you. Come on. Come on.
How do you spell that, y'all?
Oh, it's DUNNS. Oh, I'll let you say it for you.
It's Dunn's Overtown Farms. Dunn's Overtown Farms. So DUNNS Overtown Farm. Thank you guys so much.
Y'all, and think about it. So the veggies, not sure if y'all had a chance to look at the menu, but those vegetables came from that farm in Overtown. Okay? Literally, she grew them and harvested them. Is that what they told me? You pick it and harvested them. Okay? Listen, that is, y'all, I'm trying to tell y'all, and it was busted. It was so good. So thank you so much. Shout out to you, Gil, for real. I cannot thank you enough. I love and appreciate you so much. Not just for doing this and being my engineer and making me look cute or whatever, but it's also because you're willing to teach us. And the fact that I was able to have so much access to you through CoSpace, y'all, he my friend. I don't know if he knows it, but he my friend. So feel free to book him, his services. It's very easy. Go to welcometocospace.com, okay, and book the room, and you can book an engineer, aka my dog Gil. All right, yo. Now, before we head out, remember I'm gonna have some music playing so you don't have to rush out. But keep in mind, we do have pillows and shirts back there, 20 each. And y'all, oh, see, there you go. And also, you all, there is a lot of business owners in here. There's a lot of business owners. There's a lot of 9-to-5ers. Y'all, I do both. I have a 9-to-5, and I have my business. And I'm also a professor. We don't play no games around these parts, okay? So please make sure that just look around, see who you can network with, see who you can connect with, because the energy is already here. So it doesn't have to be an awkward moment, okay? And if you need to grab my hand and put my hand in somebody else's hand to help you out, I could do that, because that's how I met my best friend. So, yes.
I need to understand the story behind the yup.
Oh, so I am born and raised in Miami. Yes. Oh, yes.
Gone for a minute.
Yes, see, you was gone for a minute. Now you back, though. So now, whenever you want, just do a little you. Let it come from
the diaphragm.
From the diaphragm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Scientifically speaking, your hodoplic, your abdominal muscle.
Hey, not your hood.
Abdominal muscle. I have to start from there.
Yes. Let it start from right there and build on up. Yes, so I got you. On collective. Okay. Can everyone say it with me? On collective?
On
collective. There you go. So thank y'all so much for coming. Tag your girl. Run these pictures up, okay? And thank y'all for coming to sit with me. I really appreciate it. Yes, let's get a picture.
Can I take a picture?
Okay, y'all, so y'all know I have beautiful chocolate skin, so we're going to face this light. Yep, with CoSpace right in the background. Sabine, where are you? Ooh, yeah, she has a phone.
For the tweet.
This way, this way.
Hey, what song is this playing?
Yes, front toes.
I don't know what else fun to do.
Right? I was like, yo, I got this, I got this.
I have to get a picture with you. Let me get a picture with
So reassuring. I need to.
We'll take pictures.
I need to. I think. Alrighty. Oh yeah.
That's gonna be too much. So I'm gonna put our face. Yeah.
Thank you. This is good.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Let me just buy the pillow. Oh, you're so nice.
And I'm ready to do it.
Ready? I like that. Go again. Go again.
She is so into it.
Have fun, y'all. Have fun.
Oh, I love that.
Safely. Thank you.
Oh, you got it's a video, so but I screenshot my video.
Oh, you do? I know when you're ready. Ready? Oh, look.
Ready? Ready?
Do a laughing pose.
Wow.
Girl, thank you for coming.
Take one when you get home, so I'm gonna grab the pillow.
Oh, yeah, let's.
Because I worked hard to get here.
Hey, you worked hard as hell.
What for coffee?
I know.
Oh, that's cute.
Okay. Right.
You know, Dawn is a natural.
What's the cash out?
Miss Black. There we go. Oh, wait, get a picture with me. Come on, let me get a picture with your friend. You gotta make it quick. Hold on. Hey, Claire, come on. But you got
I'm about to say. I don't know what just happened.
yeah, like she did.
And why? Face, Lord. Yeah, this is so cool. I like this. This is such a great idea.
Yeah.
You've done this before, though, no?
No,
Or
I
just
do a
recorded?
live. I just recorded. I just recorded.
Hey.
I use Bleep, the digital card. Instagram is the new. I'm like Instagram.
It's loud as hell.
I like how we get that.
Take the bar. I didn't know.
Yeah, we got
I'm fighting. Oh my That's back.
Hey, I need some of the feet, right? I can see I can see that I can sense. I know I'm with you.
I'm so mad. I mean,